Test, test, test. Test, test, and another test. Test, test, and another test. Test, test, and another test. Test, test. Alright, I think that is working now. Not sure why that was disabled. Hello, SynVR. Could you confirm that you can hear me real quick, please? Test, 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 test. I think that should be working. Awesome, thank you very much. Now I just gotta quickly copy-paste the link into the Discord channel. And then I'll get straight to commentary. Alright, welcome everyone. Tonight is the pre-season season opener pretty much. It might just be me here tonight for now. Nismo will not be joining us tonight unfortunately, but we do have a potential temporary replacement coming up very soon. Starting off in Monza, which should be a pretty good track for these cars, I dare say. Classic 2005 GT1s. Can you believe it? That is more than 20 years ago by now. Actually, let me make sure that I turn off push to talk for Discord as well, or I'm going to get very confused later. They have changed where that setting is again, but I think I have found it. Nice. Alright. Yeah, so GT1 2005 at Monza. Current fastest time a 1:42.9. Keza just pipping Mats there, but 10 minutes still left to go. These are all very early laps. Just behind there you can see some people preferring to work with a bit of slipstream. I think that is Gillish right behind some other guys. 15 people in the session so far. We do have space for 20 drivers in this league, so more people may still show up. Good news for the reserves as well. Of course, that means that there should be a bit of extra space available. I don't think Gillish is on a push lap though, so let's quickly go on board with Bernd. I'm not quite sure who's chasing him, but he's definitely giving them a lot of slipstream. Oh, and he's straight off at Ascari. Not an easy corner to navigate in any car. It does keep it out of the wall. Might want to weave a bit to clean those tires before his next push lap. Yeah, just taking a look at the different cars that we're dealing with. Currently leading, it is the Aston Martin, driven by Keza Mats in this very same vehicle. Gillish a bit further behind in the Maserati. Cuckoo, I think that's a very beat-up Corvette, unless that's just what the livery looks like. In fact, I think that might just be the paint job. Okay. Another Maserati here for Eddie. Not entirely sure what... Oh, wait, this... Well, no, I can't quite tell from the inside what Fennec is in. Another Aston here for Ricky. A lot of Astons on the grid, it seems. JD is in one as well. That is a Corvette for Trouble. Another one for Exevius. They seem to be struggling somewhat for pace. Bullets in the same car down in 11th. Bairns going off again in his Maserati. Probably the best looking car so far, though, it must be said. Andrew at the back of the field with the slowest lap time set so far, also in the Corvette. Exus yet to set a lap. The first Lamborghini that we've seen so far. And I think that is another Maserati for Condor. So going to be interesting to see the pace differential between these cars. If we just have one single car dominating because of the car's characteristics, we know it's going to be Exus, because he is the only one in this car. Now there is some BOP going on in this league as well. There's some cars that are a bit better than others, so the top drivers have been excluded from trying those out this season, as we see Exus there also getting a bit hairy in Ascari. It's not quite the flat-out corner it used to be. And by used to be, I mean a long, long time ago. Let's quickly see which cars were included in the BOPs, as Matt's now leading the pack with a 42.7. Only a tenth and a half ahead of Keza. It looks like they may well be the class of the field if this session is anything to go by. Still about 7 minutes left. Gillish in third, but pitting now. A lot of drivers roughly 1 second behind, so that's definitely promising for the upper midfield fights. As we go on board with Mats himself. Listen to that beautiful engine roaring down the straight. Aha, I found it. Okay. Yeah, the BOP car this season is in fact the Lamborghini. Quite a few drivers excluded from driving it this season. So it does surprise me to see only one person behind the wheel of that very car, which is Exus. Still has not set a lap in this session so far. Yeah, expecting great things from the Lambo, as Aston Martin continues to dominate with its 1-2 positions for the time being. Gotta wonder, especially around a track like Monza, is the slipstream beneficial, or is the dirty air in the corners too costly? No points on offer yet tonight as well, as this is the first preseason round. Same story next week, no points on offer, but that does not mean that the rules do not apply. Can definitely still take any incidents that happen in these races straight to the stewarding room. But the first actual points will be on offer from 2 weeks from now onwards. Just see Matt's being very careful on the entry into Ascari. I'm not sure if he's setting up a lap here, or if he just have to be that careful in this car. But he is getting pretty close to some other people up in front. And yeah, it's definitely not flat out down this straight, so he is building a bit of a gap to Andrew up ahead. Keza now setting a new personal best and provisional pole with a 142.5. 2/10 faster than Mats. Can Mats beat that in his next lap? 4 minutes left in this session. Two drivers still yet to set a lap, Jedlin and Condor. And Exus has now set a lap, but it is the slowest one, so that Lambo may well be the fastest car, but it seems to be a bit of a handful at the moment. See Cuckoo and Xevious down in 6th and 7th position. Very, very close time-wise, just separated by a little over 1/100th of a second. Can you see how tough it is to navigate that second chicane? So Mats powers down into the first Lesmo, using all the available curb and slowing down from the second one. Good exit here is very crucial, as he's getting closer and closer to Andrew up ahead. That's going to give him ample slipstream for the final 2 straights. Braking for Ascari now, really hitting those high curbs, and you can just see him dancing around here as there's someone spun round, staying out of the way. That is Eddie down in 5th position. Else getting out of the way here, as Matt's now going into the final corner, well within Andrew's slipstream now. This could be a crucial corner for Aero, though. Out of Parabolica he goes. Staying in that slipstream across the line, and he does improve by exactly 1/10 of a second, and that is not enough to put him into P1. He still has 2.5 minutes left to try and rectify that, but he's going to have to navigate Andrew without losing any time, and that could be a challenge. And yeah, Ricky doing very well, in fact, currently up in P3, 1.1 seconds behind Ultimate Keza. It must be said his form towards the end of last season was incredibly strong. Wasn't always able to bring home the results due to some spins and stuff, but if he continues that pace, he may well be on for a good fight this championship again. I mean, with Gillish right behind him as well, that is quite the result indeed. Eddie, meanwhile, only a couple of milliseconds off of that time. And I'd be very surprised if Matt still improves on this lap with how much Andrew seems to be holding him up here. Yeah, he's given up on this occasion. And is that Keza chasing both of them down? It is. Is Matt's going to get some sneaky slipstream off of his, what I believe is his teammate here. They've been teammates quite a few times already. Quickly double check that first. Teammates for this season are, in fact, Mats and Keza driving for Agip Bio Organic Oversteer. Ricky is teaming up with JD once again for Drink and Drive Saxony. Peaky Blunders consists of Wild Mammoth and Cuckoo. Oh No by WTF is Fennec and Trouble. Bullet Sand and Nexus form Ficken Motorsports, with Bernd and Varlorkel, I hope I pronounced that right, driving for Beltrian Racing. Interesting. Scuderia Ferrari consists of Escher and Condor, though we haven't seen any actual Ferraris on the grid. And Gillish and Eddie are driving for Scuderia Maserati 2, like the pun. Just 2 teams remaining in the list. We got Jedlin and Tom Goodwrench for Sentinel Motorsports. Team and Matt then rounding off the top 10 with Xevious and Andrew. And we are now pretty much at the end of qualifying. Keza has locked in his position with a 42.4. I think I saw Matt's in the pits there as well, so he will not be taking pole position tonight. Ricky, though, still on the lap, one of the last drivers to be on the track at the moment. Oh, well, as I say that, I guess that's the first commentator's curse of the season, because he's now very much off the track. That is unfortunate. Let me write that down, actually, or otherwise I'm going to forget. Usually I have Nismo to write these things down for me, but he is having a bit of a Niz break. Let's see, commentator's curses. And that was, first one was for Ricky. There we go. Alright, who else is still out on track? Someone crossing the line there. Can't quite see who that is. But we do still have Bernd and Condor on track. Condor yet to set a lap. We're about to find out what he can do in these 20-year-old GT1 cars. Bernd now crossing the line. Currently P12, 2.4 off the pace. Now still 12th, but 2.2 off the pace. Condor bringing home in 15th, just barely pipping Jedlin there. Not the last drivers, though. I think Eddie must have evaded my radar, because he's still out there setting a lap. Drifting through Parabolica quite aggressively on the inside. You love to see it. Across the line, hugging that inside wall. And we're about to find out what it was. Eddie, I think, stays 5th, or did he overtake Gillish? I'm not quite sure. Either way, those two have been very, very close throughout the entirety of qualifying, but Keza has taken the first pole position of this season, albeit in preseason. Now, I think we've just lost Condor, so that's quite unfortunate. That will bring us down to just 15 drivers tonight. Yep, that is indeed no Condor on the grid. I'm not sure if we're going to end up restarting for that, but chances are we won't. It's just going to be 2 minutes now before we actually start the formation lap. Everyone gets to change their setup, all that good stuff. Making sure they have a pit strategy in case they lose a wing or two. If they want to put on rain tires, they're free to do so as well, although that would be a bit of an eccentric choice. P8 Merchant is back as well. Yes, indeed, Andrew. Congrats. That's next level consistency. Now this is the view of Jedlin here. He's got the entire grid ahead of him. Of course, over at MSR, we're still doing the rolling starts. No standing starts tonight. So everyone gets to have a bit of a peace of mind on the track before we actually get to the cutthroat racing. You can see the engine lights actually not turned on, which is interesting. I'm sure that'll change as soon as they get going. You can see a bit of a difference in interior between the different cars as well. Not all cars having very round steering wheels here. I should actually probably ask if we still have any players on the controller, because I do know that a lot of our traditional controller players have switched to the wheel. As we'll get started within a few seconds, I'm sure. There we go. Everyone's selected their pit strategy and setup. And the formation lap is underway. Happy racing indeed. Thanks for the enthusiasm, KCR Dan. Rooting for Ricky in P3, I'm sure. 1, 2, 3 for Aston so far. Let's go look up and down the grid, see if anyone's got their headlights or windshield wipers on. I think Kay's actually does have his lights on, which is nice to see. Making sure he's definitely not gonna miss any corners there. At least he won't be able to excuse it from on not seeing anything. Oh, we've got some more lights on. I believe that is... No, that's not the right car. I think that's Eddie. Yeah, Eddie's got his lights turned on now as well. Actually kind of helps me to distinguish people from their teammate, which is nice. Let's see, I think that's another one there. Andrew, of course, an avid listener of the stream, with his lights on as well in the banana car, or is it a butter car? I'm not really sure. They're both yellow. A couple cars back, we got Trouble as well. I think he had his lights turned on. Now they've gone off, though. Just can't get enough of that black and gold livery that Baron has been driving. Exus in the Lambo has his lights on as well. If this race does go into the dark, which I don't think it will, at least we have people that'll be able to see. Of course, if they do end up having damage is of course turned on in this league, so that does mean they would have to repair their lights. Because you can't drive when you can't see anything, at least it's not allowed. Matt's now got the lights on as well. Xevious doing the same. So they all line up now for the final corner. About to start this 34 lap race. Lap 1 of course being the formation lap. Glad to see we haven't lost anyone else aside from Condor. Keza will be the one leading us into turn 1. All on the back straight now. I can hear them modulating the throttle ever so slightly. You can see the cars bouncing. Side by side across the line. Keza could start any moment now. And they're off. You can instantly hear it in the engines. That's Xevious pulling out in between P2 and 3. Ricky off to a decent start as well. Could we be 3 wide into turn 1? It's not a great start for Matt. Already down into 4th. Ricky sending it down the inside, using every bit of the track straight up into P2. It's a great start for him. Further back, everyone side by side in turn 1. It's fairly clean so far. A bit of rubbing out of the corner. Oh, and that's some very risky contact as well. Lucky to escape that. Back to the leaders though. Keza pretty much safe at this point. No lunges possible from that distance. Ricky under a lot of pressure from Xevious. Gillish, oh, as there's a lot of side-by-side there. What's happened to Mats? He's lost a few more positions, now having to defend from Andrew. Matt's down into 5th position now. These cars definitely not nuts. Oh, there's a big spin in the back. That is Exus in the Lambo. Manages to keep it out of the wall. His next few laps will probably be a bit boring, though. Back to the leaders. Keza not quite pulling away as much as I'd expected. Ricky hanging on within half a second, so plenty of slipstream on offer there. Gillish now under pressure from Mats. Maybe Mats just trying to heat up his tires a little bit because he seems to be picking up the pace again. Further behind, seems like Cuckoo putting pressure on Andrew. Going down the inside of Parabolica. That's a risky move, but it could pay off. Side by side, out of the corner, onto the main straight. Who's going to get the slipstream? Seems like Eddie's giving it all to Cuckoo right now. Further up ahead, more side-by-side action. That is Mats side-by-side with Gillish now. Mats has the inside, but who's later on the brakes? It isn't Mats. Slots in behind. Just behind, we have Cuckoo managing to get the move done on Andrew. Unfortunately, didn't quite catch that one. Now Andrew's got a fellow Corvette behind him in the form of Trouble. Meanwhile, the top two side-by-side once again. It's very tough to defend around the outside, but Ricky, I think, pulls it off without too much contact. Still side-by-side into the next one. That's going to be even more difficult to defend in that case. And Xevious does take the position, but Ricky looking for a switchback. Can't quite get it done. Just behind, we have Mats and Gillish. Going on board with the roof cam here. He's got triple slipstream down into Ascari. Will he send it on the brakes? He's been careful before. Mats thinking better of it. It's a long race. We're only on lap 2 of 34. And just up ahead, Xevious under pressure once again. Ricky with the better exit. Keza must be smiling in his digital helmet as he's pulling away. Matt's now side by side as well. Two cars trying to move around the outside. Oh, Matt's being forced to the very edge of the track. Gillish, as per usual, not giving an inch. I think that Matt's has the slipstream on the straight, though. Ricky's gotten the position as well, but chooses not to defend the inside. Exevius going for it again, but brakes slightly earlier, maybe. Oh, Gillish is very late on the brakes. Now Matt's getting sent by Eddie as well. Very aggressive, a bit of tapping on the exit. Fennec looking to get involved too. This is a massive cluster of cars fighting for P2. Gillish now in third position, looking to take P2 from Ricky. And I think he's going to have it there with the inside. It's possible to defend here, but wow, they actually managed to keep it clean. Somehow getting a better exit there. Very impressive as well. Ricky sending it into the first Lesmo. That's all very impressive driving from the pair of them. On to the next straight. Keza 5 seconds ahead now of this P2 battle. Fennec now ahead of Matt, so looks like he's managed to make the most of all that. Exevius looking to retake P3. Can't quite send it there though. Ascari, a very risky corner indeed, but everyone being very well behaved so far. Ooh, just a bit further behind though. I think trouble getting a bit of a tap into Ascari. Not quite sure what happened there. It was all quite far in the background. Back to the fight for P2. Ricky now half a second ahead of Gillish, who's still defending from Exevius behind, a bit closer. Seems to be... well, no, I think Exevius is closer to Gillish right now. That could be a move into turn one. They both stay on the same line. What's the pair behind them doing? Pretty much the same, but no, Eddie's outbraked himself and spun around in turn one. And he's not the only one. Multiple people off there. I think Eddie, though, with the most dramatic spin of them all. And that has sent him tumbling straight out of the top 10. Very unfortunate for Eddie. Meanwhile, the fight for P2 continues. Seems like Ricky is quite the train mechanic here. Conductor, I should say. Exevius and Fennec. Quickly double check, but I do believe those are teammates. No, Exevius and Andrew. Why do we have people in such similar cars that are not in the same team? Anyway. Further back, we still have fights going on. I think Trouble is putting pressure on Barons for that final top 10 position. We still have Exus as well, slowly catching up to Bullet Sand for 14th. Meanwhile, something has happened here. And it's Keza. Keza, oh my word, he's lost his rear wing. That is your race leader, and it's in a scar. You can see the wing in the background. Keza's crashed out from a comfortable lead and is going to take a one-way trip straight to the pits. He's fortunate that it's at the end of the lap, but that's about as fortunate as you can get in this kind of situation because he has thrown away the win for this race. Safety cars, of course, are possible, but we didn't catch a single one of those last season. So the event of getting one of those is highly unlikely. Keza will now be fighting for the wooden spoon, unfortunately, but that does mean that the craziest fight in this race is now for P1. We got Gillish under a lot of pressure from Exevius still. Exevius not giving up. We've seen him in good form in recent times. Maybe this season he can bring a title challenge to the best of them. Ooh, further behind as well. I think that was... who was that? I think that was Cuckoo and JD here getting some action. Could barely fit a wooden spoon between those cars. Once again, the fight for P1, but it does look like Ricky is relatively comfortable. He's not got to think about defending just yet. And I think for Gilish, it's pretty much all that he's going to have to do, unless these Corvettes here start scrapping a bit harder behind him. You've got Mats there in P5 putting on pressure once again. Started this race in P2, has the pace to lead, but currently in the upper midfield after some mishaps in the first lap. Two Corvettes go side by side. Only one of them has slipstream. Doesn't look like the slipstream is making that much of a difference, though, at least not for the Corvettes. Matt's almost pulling alongside them as they go through turn 1 side by side. Could Mats try and get a switch back here? Oh, it looked like he had to be a bit careful on the throttle in that case. I'm hearing from some viewers now that the Aston is quite tricky. That's definitely what it looked like at a turn 1. Fennec now making a move, getting the pass on Exevius into the second chicane. Cuts right in, and he's got the overtake done. No switchback possible for Exevius in that instance. Could he be losing another spot here to Mats? No, Mats slotting in just behind. That Aston not quite as agile as the Corvette, but he's definitely letting his presence be known. I'm hearing as well that the Maserati is quite strong on the brakes. Looking forward to more side-by-side battles into turn 1 then, because that is definitely the most interesting braking zone on this track. This looks like the top 2 may well be pulling away. Fennec is going to want to try and get all of that slipstream as much as he can. As soon as you lose the slipstream of the car ahead, it becomes very, very difficult to catch them again. Further behind, you can see Trouble now having recovered back up to P8 in some battles as well. Good recovery from him so far. Keza on track again, but 40 seconds behind the nearest driver. Mats now getting some space on the inside of turn 1 into the braking zone. He's definitely being outbraked a bit here, but he's got the outside now on exit. Which car has the better acceleration? Viewers say it's the Aston. He's got the inside line for 2. Looks like that Corvette's holding its own though. Really good stuff. You'll love to see multi-corner battles, but it looks like into the next chicane, Mats has the better braking. A little scruffy on exit, but he's got the position. Mats up into 4th. Meanwhile, outside of the spotlight, having some fun on his own, Ricky leading this race. If Ricky can stay in this position, I would not be surprised if this is his very first MSR win. Unfortunately, I don't have my archivist Nismo to check that data for me, but you can trust me on that one. Gilish not quite able to pull away. Fennec has recovered that slipstream. The fight for P2 goes on. Oh, well, as I say that, not quite sure what happened there, but Fennec has lost a big chunk of time, so I'll go ahead and put that in my commentator's curse list. Fennec, there we go. Gotta learn how to spell. Alright, Mats now back up into P3. So he will be trying to restore honor to his team there after Keza bended in a scar a few laps ago. Or can Fennec re-overtake him before Mats gets to Gilish? Once again, the 2 Corvettes side by side into turn 1. It's a sight we have started to get used to by now. Ooh, that was some very, very sideways action there from Exevius out of turn 1. That's given the inside right back to Fennec. But will that be enough to outbrake Exevius into the next chicane as well? He's using every inch of the track in the fast corners, but that does tend to be a bit of a slower route. So P4 back to Fennec. We'll have to wait and see if he can once again close up to the car in front. Meanwhile, further back, Eddie under pressure from JD. At least it appears. We'll quickly check those latest lap times. Eddie's 1:44, so I think Eddie might have just overtaken JD. Looks like he was half a second faster that previous lap. Oh, and that's 2 cars off in Ascari. Both Mats and Gillish have outbraked themselves, and that's both Corvettes now back up into 2nd and 3rd place, unless... No, Mats has somehow kept that position. He's probably alright with that rules-wise. I think he did lose time, but it's not entirely sure if that counts as overtaking Gillish off the track. Either way, Mats recovering better than Gillish was able to there. And now very vulnerable on the straight. I'll go back on board with Gillish Hamann. Oh, he's actually a little far back. Hold on. The Corvettes hounding Mats from every angle, but giving him plenty. Oh, he's outbraked himself again. I was about to say that they seem to be giving him space in turn 1, but he has thoroughly messed up that braking zone, so I think Fennec here's got good reason to pass him. That's 2 mistakes for Mats in 3 corners. And all of this is just giving Ricky more and more of a gap. He's now about as far ahead of the field as Keza was when he binned it. Will Ricky keep this consistency going? Meanwhile, Exus has overtaken Bullet Sand from 14th up into 13th. I think Eddie... Oh, Eddie's off. No, wait, who was that? That wasn't Eddie, was it? No, that's JD off. JD, never mind. Got a little confused there with the camera work, but JD now down into 12th place. Very, very unfortunate, but if he can keep it clean for a few laps, there's still people to fight just up ahead. Speaking of a fight, we got Mats behind Fennec. Xevious right behind him. Can barely fit a car in these gaps at all. Gillish still recovering a little bit. A gap too close to get any moves done. And you're right, Dan. These are definitely some pretty good, consistent fights. We love a fight that lasts more than half the race. Oh, and who's that off? It's Ricky! Oh my word, he's actually gone and binned it as well. Does he still have his wing? Oh. I mean, he has a wing, but that looks very, very bent. I would be very surprised if he manages to stay out for the rest of the race with that level of damage. Ah, that's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Andrew now bringing the fight to Gillish, slightly outbraking himself in turn 1. Actually, no, Gillish missed the corner. A lot of people outbraking themselves in turn 1. I wonder how many positions have been given back because of that. In fact, speak of the devil, there it's happening. Good on Gillish for giving the place back there. Meanwhile, that means that Mats is now leading this race. He's re-overtaken Fennec. It seems like no one's quite able to hold on to the lead in this race. We're on lap 10 of 34 now. 1/3 through this race. The lead has changed about 3 times now, and we now have Fennec jumping into the lead in the first Lesmo. I don't think Mats was quite expecting that, but he's having to forfeit that position, almost getting pushed wide by Xevious. But they all stay nice and close onto the straight now, and that's someone off in the back. That is Cuckoo. Cuckoo getting all sideways in the gravel. Another good chance for trouble to make up a place. Ricky has gained a place as well. Damage does not seem to be affecting him too much, so that might be a visual glitch. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, as Andrew there, using every bit of the tarmac available. I'm going to have to add that to my curse list, unfortunately. That's the 2nd curse for Ricky in 10 laps time. That is very unfortunate. Now out of Parabolica, or Alboreto Corner as it's called officially nowadays, though no one really calls it that. Down the main straight. Quadruple slipstream for Gillish in the back. Side by side into 1, and it looks like Mats has won the brake battle again, but has he outbraked himself? Yeah, he kind of has, and oh, that's really messed with Fennec's exit. Yeah, Fennec retaking the lead once again. Will Xevious be able to follow him through? He has the slipstream and the inside line. What can Mats do on the outside? Is Andrew following him through as well? No, Andrew in fact losing a position. Gillish absolutely sliding into that chicane like it's no one's business. Retaking P4. Lots of clean racing going on tonight. You do love to see it. Matt's really impatient to try and get past Xevious again. But it does seem like the slipstream here quite powerful. No one able to pull away and maintain themselves there. You can see as well Ricky in the background. I think he's gaining on them. It's a lot of curb there from Fennec. That car bouncing up in the air. Everyone behind him very well behaved. Andrew cutting the curb slightly on exit. A bit of a risky move, but it's paid off. He's gotten past Gillish once again. Just up ahead, side by side into the final corner. Mats retakes P2 from Xevious. But you really want to have a lot of slipstream on this straight, and that's one thing that Mats will not have anymore. He's now side by side with the race leader, Fennec. Could this be 3 wide into turn 1? Mats really hugging that inside line, getting away from everything and everyone. Seems like Xevious is holding back for now. Mats has the inside line. Fennec can't quite do anything there. And I think it's safe to say that Ricky has now well and truly rejoined this fight. Just quickly checking the last lap times. That was a 1:44 flat for Ricky, and that's faster than everyone in front except for Fennec. Well, and Mats. I couldn't quite see that name, but yeah. Very good recovery so far from Ricky. Oh, and that's someone off. It's one of the Corvettes. That's Xevious. Xevious has gotten all out of shape in the second chicane. Kept it out of the wall, though, so this fight will continue for a lot longer, I think. Still a yellow flag out there, though. Not sure if that's for someone else. Seems like Exus has had another slip up. He's now only 2 seconds ahead of Keza in 14th place. Meanwhile, Trouble still putting pressure on Cuckoo, not that far away from the fight for the lead. All of this fighting has kept the pack pretty close. Eddie, Bernd, and Jedlin all fairly close as well. Just gonna take a quick look there, see if anything specific is going on here. No, just some close racing. Meanwhile, back here, Ricky has gotten past Gillish with that, what I assume has to be a glitchy wing, because aero damage does in fact make you slower on straights in sim racing games. And corner performance is not necessarily impacted all that much. Now we do have what could be a first scheduled pit stop here. Xevious coming into the box. I think mandatory pit stop is still part of this league, so it's going to be interesting to see when the rest of them pits, or how many pit stops they do. Meanwhile, Mats, it looks like he's managing to pull away a bit now. That's a gap of 1.6 seconds to P2 now. We haven't seen the gap get much bigger than 5 or 6 seconds for any leader in this race. Getting a question here about the tire and fuel use multiplier. I will quickly take a look, see if I can find that, as I give you the onboard of Keza's fight with Exus. Lambo not putting up the biggest of fights on the main straight. Bring us back on board with Ricky now. This is now the fight for P4. Ricky's gotten ahead of Andrew. He's now chasing ahead of Gillish, sorry. He's now chasing down Andrew for third, and it looks like he's got some pretty decent pace as I continue to try and find this data. Sending it down the inside into the final corner. Andrew not defending it. He knows he wants that slipstream, and my word, that is such a dent in the rear of that car. Andrew's coming into the pits. I guess that explains why he wasn't quite fighting that one as hard. Xevious is out on track again as well, down in 13th position. And oh, a lot of drivers coming in now. Gillish has followed Andrew in, as have Cuckoo and Trouble. And they're not the only ones. It looks like this may well be as far as some of these cars go with their fuel capacity. So I think we might end up seeing 2 pit stops this race. Per driver, of course. We've already seen way more than 2 pit stops just in total. Camera on Xevious here. I want to see where he is compared to Gillish when Gillish returns to the track. Gillish still in the pits, as is half the grid, so Xevious seems to have gained a lot of time with his earlier pit stop, which, I mean, it is an undercut, but I am not sure how many people are changing tires and whatnot. Either way, we've definitely seen, especially last season, pit stops, regardless of strategy, can take a varying amount of time, so Xevious looks to be in a very good position here. It's not just Gillish that's lost a lot of time, it's Andrew as well. So we'll have to wait and see when the next round of pit stops comes on. If they'll, if those pit stops will be very similar to these. Matt's now the race leader coming in. I assume Fennec as well. Yes, and Ricky too. Okay, I think that's pretty much everyone gonna have pitted here. I can't for the life of me find if we have higher fuel consumption or tire wear. So this is why I always asked that to Nismo. He knew where to find that stuff. Well, maybe we can figure some of that info out in the post-race interviews. Xevious now rounding the final corner. Ricky is already out of the pits, so it seems like his pit stop was extra speedy, just like Xevious's was, but even compared to Xevious, he's got quite a gap. Everyone else still in the box. Xevious overtaking them all. Could this be a race decided by pit stops? Very interesting indeed. Keza, who pitted very early on because of a crash that cost him his rear wing, is now back up into 3rd position, but I'll be very surprised if he doesn't still have to do 2 additional stops, because pitting too early is a bit suboptimal. We have lost another driver as well. Very unfortunate. Not quite sure who it was yet. We're down to 14 out of the beginning 16 now. Ricky is your race leader at the moment. Was leading this race earlier when there was a massive fight going on for 2nd position. Then bended off screen and seemingly got damage that does not seem to be affecting that car. So that's a very interesting AMS2 shenanigans there. But he's doing well, still leading this race. Could well be en route to his first race win over at MSR. Xevious now under a lot of pressure from Keza. But again, that's probably not for position, as Keza likely needs an extra stop. Either way, he's going to want to keep that place for sure. Mats is a corner or 2 behind, chased down by Fennec. It seems like this round of pit stops has really messed with this battle. Very few people getting pit stops that lasted the same amount of time. And I wonder where Andrew got that damage from. As he's now being... Oh, he's hit Trouble straight in the rear into Ascari. And Trouble not able to avoid the barrier there. That is massively unfortunate. We saw Andrew getting very sideways, under braking, car out of control, and Trouble an innocent bystander in that. His race well and truly ruined, though it's still no points on offer tonight. So this race is just for figuring out how these cars work and for bragging rights. Meanwhile, Keza has overtaken Xevious. Makes you wonder if Keza, with that earlier stop, is on a bit of a lower fuel level now. That could definitely make you a decent bit faster, but Ricky won't be worried too much about that. Currently in the lead by 11 seconds as Andrew now going into the pits again. Eddie following him in. Fascinating to see that. I'm not sure if something happened to his car. I can't see any damage from the rear. And we're not getting a frontal camera, so that's a bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, I think the closest fight right now is still Xevious v Keza. Or is it Bernd and Bullet? It is Bernd and Bullet. We'll go on board with Bernd here. Still in the best looking car on the grid, down in 13th position. Trouble coming in for damage repair as well. Very, very unfortunate for the trio. Of course, it does still happen sometimes that people come in and their pit stop doesn't go as planned, so they have to come in again the next lap. Hopefully that was not the case. As for who's gone missing, I'm still trying to figure that out. Let's just quickly have a bit of a race rundown here. We got Ricky in the lead. Keza chasing him down in second. Xevious in third, followed by Mats, Fennec, JD. Cuckoo. It's Jedlin. We've lost Jedlin again. So something must have happened to him. Definitely not the first time we've lost him from a race. That's pretty good pace sometimes, but more often than not has a bit of a severe dose of bad luck and ends up leaving the session. Looks like we do have a fight now with the pit trio, which is interesting. Andrew chasing down Trouble and Exus. Actually, Eddie is way behind, so he definitely had some damage there in the front. That should be fixed now, but it's cost him a massive amount of time. Meanwhile, Andrew and Trouble still struggling to get past Exus in the Lambo, which might also have a bit of damage. Exus holding his own into a Scary. Well, that's a very, very brave defense there. And he actually gets the position back on exit, but slows down a bit to leave some extra outside space for Trouble. Very kind of Exus, but that could well let two cars through. As the Corvette duo sending it down the inside of a Scary. Exus trying to be late on the brakes in that Lambo. Could hold on to 12th for now, but you can see Andrew using every bit of middle track there. Still can't get the slipstream. Exus has it. But is the side draft actually helping Andrew more here? I wonder. Yeah, the slipstream proving to be absolutely useless for Exus. I wonder... Oh! I wonder if he was just boxed in or if it was actually just limited by top speed. But either way, Trouble has missed the first corner and taken the polystyrene chicane like a very good boy. And that has now put Ricky in his sights. Ricky looking to start lapping people. In fact, he has already lapped Eddie. And oh, that's Trouble off again. Going off where Hamilton did all those years ago. Not in these cars, however. Meanwhile, JD versus Cuckoo. This is the fight for P6. Cuckoo sending it down the inside, albeit very slowly. Turning to the outside of that chicane. And you can just see there, Cuckoo able to get the power down a lot more efficiently than JD with that sharper exit angle. Gillis was fighting for the lead earlier. He's going to want to get past this duo as quickly as humanly possible. About 9 seconds behind Fennec. It's not an insurmountable gap, but definitely not an easy gap to bridge either. We are on lap 19. Well, lap 18 of 34, I suppose. I'll just call it lap 19 from now on. I don't feel like doing that math every time. Crazy math, I know. The gap between Ricky and Keza has shrunk a little bit. It's now down to just 10 seconds flat from 11 to 12 earlier. I think Ricky potentially driving a bit more carefully than he was earlier. Of course, he does not want a repeat of what happened and cost him the lead in the first phase of this race. Go back on board with Trouble as Ricky is now lapped Exus as well. This actually could be what's cost Ricky a bit of that gap time. Andrew, though, has managed to drive away from this fight. Trouble sending it down the outside, but a bit more cautious on the brakes. Can't quite make it stick, but he's looking for a better exit. Can't quite steer sharp enough there. Lesmo 1, you can see Exus hugging that inside on entry. Trouble has no answer for that on exit, but can he do something on the straight after Lesmo 2? Very, very cautious on the throttle there. I gotta wonder if that car is maybe a bit unstable. This is the fight for P12. Exus defending it once again into Ascari. I think I've seen him take that defensive line more often than not in this corner. For those maybe recently joining us, we've lost 2 drivers so far. Jedlin and Condor. Condor unfortunately disconnected before the race had even started. Had qualified just outside the top 10. I'm struggling to see where this this Lambo would be OP though, because it does not seem to be a straight line monster, to say the least. Trouble sending it around the outside into one. Very, very slowly they go through. It's definitely not the same as the classic turn 1 in Monza, and there we have it. Keza coming into the pits again. I had predicted it, but can he bring this car to the end of the race on this fuel tank alone? That's going to be interesting to see. I think the rest of the grid is probably still going to have to pit too, so if Keza only has this pit stop left, then he may well be in a very good position despite his earlier crash. Well done though to Trouble there for getting past the Lambo. Let's see where Keza comes out. Berend quite far behind. There's a serious gap between P7 and P9. No gap at all between Gillish and JD. Gillish sending it down the inside of turn 2. A very, very long corner into the next chicane. And JD does not fight it. That's a very easy chicane to outbrake yourself into. So JD just choosing to fight another day. Gillish next target. Cuckoo just up the road, but Cuckoo, one of the stronger defensive drivers in this league. That's going to be an interesting fight. Keza has come out back on track and is just behind. Is this Barrett or is that a lap? No, that's just Bullet Sand, so just behind Bullet Sand. Nice Belgian flag on that car there. Ricky now coming in as well. Lap 21 of 35. I'm thinking this may well be the last pit stop here. At least the last, well, the first of the last round of pit stops. Xevious now taking the lead once again. Well, I'm actually not sure if he's led this race so far. Either way, we have a new race leader. Matt's only 3.5 seconds behind. Let's take a quick look at those latest lap times. Ooh, yeah, Mats is massively closing in on Xevious, and JD following Ricky into the pits. Let me quickly check. I know that you don't have to have the same car if you're someone's teammate. No, it's not there. Where is the driver info? Here it is. Yeah, Ricky and JD still teammates, so sharing a strategy there, pitting on the same lap. Hello, Nismo. Nice to have you. We've been having some crazy fights in the first half of this race, but the first round of pit stops has kind of thrown a wrench into things. We're still expecting quite a few people to pit for the second time as well. We did originally have it planned for someone else to join us in this in the comms booth tonight, but they seem to have some issues with the British public transport system. At least I think it's the British one. It might be a different one. Either way, a public transport system has let down our potential co-commentator tonight. We are still in talks with someone else for a season-long commentary role as well, though, so it won't just be me this whole season talking to my lonely screen. Matt's now within a second of the race lead. That's Xevious getting really quite sideways on the brakes into turn 1. I'm not sure if that was a late defense or if he lost control. Maybe he's got a bit too aggressive on his brake bias. Let's go on board with Mats now. Can he retake the lead of this race? Of course, I think the net race leader is still Ricky down in 6th position. You can just see how careful they have to be in these cars in the chicane. Into Lesmo 1. Very, very patient for Mats, letting his presence be known into the second Lesmo. And yeah, that's not an optimal exit whatsoever from Xevious. Mats pulls alongside on the straight to Ascari. It's going to be a move around the outside. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Braking lane on the inside here is very risky. He decides against it. Mats now into the lead once more. Oh, and I think we've just lost Exus. Oh, no, he's still there. Well, we still have Exus, but he lost the car. That's what happened. Exus down in 13th at the... Oh, my word. Okay, his connection's definitely... Yeah. That's unfortunate. Exus, the newest casualty of tonight's first preseason race. As Xevious now going into the pits. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out compared to Ricky and Keza. Looks like a lot of drivers in clean air at the moment. Gilish has not managed to close the gap to Cuckoo, which is pretty surprising. We've seen Gilish in the fight for the lead earlier in this race. Cuckoo just always a bit too far behind to get involved. No others pitting for now. Back to 11th we go. Looks like Andrew is trying to chase down JD up ahead in 10th. I'm not quite sure why Andrew's... Well... See, when people end up disconnecting from the race and someone else has gained positions, it makes it look like they haven't gained any positions at all. That's a bit of the tragic part of driving at the back of the grid sometimes. Andrew has gained a few positions, but he's still only got 2 people behind him now because of all that. Next car to pass JD. Let's look at those previous lap times. Roughly a second a lap faster, though. Yeah, I think this overtake is going to happen pretty soon, but Xevious has come out of the pits. Now in turn 1, and I think he's got people right behind him. In fact, he does. That's Bernd very, very close to making an overtake, but I'm pretty sure he still has to do an extra pit stop. K's 3 seconds behind. Back to Andrew through turn 1. Still a bit too far for too much action there. Mats crossing the line to start lap 25 of 35. Has a 10-second gap to Fennec behind. But Fennec now, well, I would say under pressure, but that appears to be a lapped car. Who's in the... Oh, that is Eddie. Yeah, Eddie has had a bit of a torrid race so far. Lost a lot of time in the pits to repair damage. But at least he's got someone to keep him company now. Bernd, despite still having to pit, seems like he's got some pretty good pace, chasing down Xevious through the second sector. Ooh, touching quite a bit of gravel there, though. That would definitely be some track limits. And that's brought Keza in a little bit closer as well. This probably is for position between Xevious and Keza if anything happens. Keza gaining an absolute boatload of time on both of them just up ahead. And this is well and truly a 3-car fight now. Further up ahead, I think Cuckoo is pulling a slight gap on Gilish now. Unable to put pressure on Cuckoo. Oh, hold on, I think there's a side-by-side action now into turn 1. Almost a bit of contact, but very smooth move there from Andrew on JD into 1. It's Andrew back into the top 10. We'll quickly take a look at Trouble, see what these lap times are. Will Trouble catch JD? At his current speed, he stands a decent chance. Let's go back to Xevious, Barrington, Keza though, because this is looking to be a thrilling fight that'll emulate what we had in the first half of this race, where we had I think a 5 or 6 car fight for P1 and P2 for the longest time. It was great to see. Barrington though deciding to play it quite safe and potentially retake Keza when it's time for the straights again. You can just see how much wider that Corvette is going through Parabolica. Barron's putting a lot less load on his tires, but here's the reason why. He's just going for a slower exit into the pits, so we did know that he still needed to do his final pit stop. So that 3-car fight downgraded back to a 2-car fight, but these are 2 top-tier drivers, so we can expect to see this go on for a bit longer. Ricky probably smiling up ahead because this all is keeping Keza from closing that gap as rapidly as he might be able to. The gap's still 11 to 12 seconds between Keza and Ricky. Again, Ricky likely having the net race lead. I think everyone up ahead still having to do their final pit stop. I do wonder as well what sort of downforce levels these drivers are working with, because while this is a track that typically suits lower downforce, setup is pretty important on a track like that. As long as you can keep the car stable, you can usually get away with running next to no aero. Exit of Ascari, clean for both. Keza trying to redeem himself after his earlier loss of the lead. A 5-second lead turned into a broken car minus rear wing. I think this is a fight for a net podium though, so if Keza can get this move done on Xevious, that could well be P2 by the end of this race. 9 laps left to go. Actually slightly less than that, but now is Keza now going for the move down the inside on the main straight. Who will break later? They close in on each other quite a bit, but Keza has the position. Can he keep it on exit? They make contact. Having to get out of the throttle there, because if you keep the pedal to the metal, you will die in that gluing scenario. A bit cheeky from Xevious that he's taken that position, because I think that was his fault. But yeah, Xevious retakes P6 in somewhat dubious circumstances. But it looks like Keza might have him back already. He does. Cuckoo now pitting from 3rd, Gillish following them in. Let's quickly take another look at some lap times here. Matt's currently very, very freaking fast. Setting 43.1s. It's almost a second faster than the car behind, which is Fenix. Stays out for now. Keza definitely not out of the woods just yet. We've seen Xevious come back numerous times in his fights this race. An overtake is by no means permanent. Where will Cuckoo and Gillish come out? Seems like it'll be quite close. We'll go on board here. Gillish losing a bit of time, comes out behind. Keza not close enough to send it on Cuckoo, but I think this is a net P2 now for Cuckoo, so gaining a lot of time in that stint. That's been a very, very good pit stop for them. As Andrew now in the pits as well. That's looking like his race won't be amounting to too much from there, unfortunately. I have to wonder as well if Mats has been able to... Oh, who's that going off in the background? That's Gillish. Very unfortunate spin out of that second chicane. I think he knows he lost some time and was trying to push as soon as he got out of the pits there, so that has backfired massively. Oh, and that car not liking him one bit after that. May well have cooked the tires. We'll have to wait and see. Taking no further part in this fight as Kay's already sending it on Cuckoo into Ascari side by side. A risky move to say the least. And a dream scenario for Xevious because that puts him right into the hot seat for a much better exit. You can see Kayza falling behind but keeping that inside line. No, switching to the outside. Inside again for exit. No, holds on to the slipstream. It does look like Cuckoo may well be a sitting duck. As they almost go 3 wide. Kayza getting a little bit boxed in there in that position. Will anyone outbrake themselves? We've seen it happen plenty of times before. They'll keep it very clean as Xevious now getting the move done on Cuckoo. Positions shifting everywhere. That's what I've been really enjoying about this race so far. Mats now pitting from the lead. Keep an eye on that gap between Mats and Ricky as Mats will come out in, well, in quite a while because these pit stops are not very short. Bullet Sand pitting from 10th. Fennec following in as well. I think the people who were putting off their pit stop all running out of fuel now. Okay, he's getting a much better exit out of the second Lesmo. Will he have the space on the brakes? Ooh, I would say Cuckoo's surrendering there, but Kayza's just outbraked himself. Yeah, that's not the first time we've seen that happen. Well, it's the first time I've seen Kayza break himself in that corner, but I've seen quite a few people miss that one so far. Let's put him a couple seconds back and give Cuckoo a new chance to take the fight to Xevious, but this seems to be some pretty sizable news, as Mats has come out of the pits well and truly in the lead, so I don't quite know what he's done with that pit stop, but it seems to be a lot faster than his previous one. Ricky, who I presumed was the net race leader, now 20 seconds behind. Fennec, still the same gap to Mats as well, so his pit stop lasting exactly the same amount of time as Mats's. So it looks like Ricky now just holding on for a podium now. No first win at MSR just yet. Goes to show that a good performance is not all that is required to win a race in this league. You need a good strategy as well. Trouble now in the pits from 9th. Back to... Oh, Cuckoo has missed the chicane. As I think that's Bullet Sand taking the mickey out of track limits there as well. Xevious getting some extra breathing space, and this is good for Kayza because that means the gap between Cuckoo and Xevious is now pretty much the same as his gap. All the other cars in this race pretty much spread out at this point. Although, wait, I think Trouble's just now updating. Oh yeah, he's got Andrew right behind him again, so we've seen this duo battle multiple times before in this race. We've seen Andrew, unfortunately, slam his car into the rear of Trouble earlier, after losing control in the Ascari braking zone. But they've both lived to fight another day, and they continue their fight with just a couple of laps to go. Meanwhile, keep an eye on that gap as well for P5 and 6. I think pretty much most of the front runners have now pitted, so these are all fights for position. Keza getting closer and closer to Cuckoo. Same cannot be said for the gap ahead. What's happened here? Has there been a position change? Baron has gone off. And trouble side by side with Andrew now, also into Ascari, who's later on the brakes. I think Trouble's got it. These cars identical in every single way. The only differing aspect is going to be the setup and driver. Well, I suppose, and the equipment they're using at home as well. But that's not real. This digital racing is what we're really looking at. This is the real world. Well, I think we might have lost another person. We're down to just 12 people as Bullet Sand going off the track, looking like an absolute kangaroo. Oh, and we've actually missed the Keza move on Cuckoo. That is very unfortunate. But still a couple of straights left to go. Still time for Cuckoo to regain that position. I'm hearing some movement on that car, though. Could there be some aero damage? There does not appear to be any. Meanwhile, back to the trouble fight. Andrew seems to have missed the corner. I missed why that happened, but it does look like he might be slowing down a bit. Into the second Lesmo, and Trouble's massively overcooked it, really gluing that green car to the green curb. But that's really killed his exit, so Andrew's going to be all smiles, I'm sure. It doesn't look like Cook was able to bring the fight back to Keza, so what Cooker really needs here is for Keza to immediately gain on Xevious up ahead, which seems to be happening. And if they get into a massive ding-dong battle, then Cuckoo could well end up recovering P4. We'll have to wait and see in these final few laps. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us up, because it has been quite entertaining, especially the first half of that race, that seemingly never-ending 5 to 6 car fight for position. Almost makes you wish that there were no pit stops in this race, really. But that's all part of racing. Oh, excuse me. Cuckoo not quite getting optimal traction there on the exit curve of Ascari. We're gonna go on board with Keza, who seems to be cooking up a move on Xevious. Once again, sliding quite a bit on entry into that corner. Probably not doing his tire wear any favors, but that may just be a Corvette characteristic. Quickly gonna take another look at those latest lap times. Does not look like Ricky is gaining on anyone. And would you look at that, is Keza fuel saving into turn 1. That is very interesting indeed. He might actually want to stay behind Xevious until the final lap and then try to go for a move. It's a risky strategy, but if he's low on fuel, that may well be the best one. Meanwhile, further behind, it seems like Trouble and Andrew have gotten a little closer again. Who's that just up ahead of them? It's Matt. So Matt's still a lap ahead of this pair. Keza still closer to Xevious than the Trouble is to Andrew. Down the hill, under the bridge, into Ascari, and once again a bit of lift and coast from Keza. You can see it's not costing him any time, so it's definitely some free fuel saved. And somehow Cuckoo not really gaining on them despite all that, so maybe really struggling with worn tires. Anyone with a penalty yet? Yes, in fact, Bullet Sand, but that penalty will not be affecting them because they're currently in last place. On board with the K's-Meister down the main straight. Starting the penultimate lap. This fight won't be going on for too much longer, and you can actively see he is definitely holding back into turn 1 multiple laps in a row now. So that fight is definitely a bit of a slow cooker, but an intentional one. As I think Matt's there, maybe just keeping his pace in check now. He just has to bring that car home. The 2 lapped cars behind, managing to stick with him. Matt is about to start the final lap of this race. Probably use the bonnet cam a bit more often, actually. Gives you a great view of the taillights of Exevius. Fought very hard this race. Potentially deserving of a podium, but it wasn't quite to be tonight. Either way, a good race, hard fought. Trouble, meanwhile, has gotten himself into some trouble. That gap between him and Andrew now well and truly opened up. It's 10 seconds now. I think he's just been lapped by Fennec. Yeah, that is indeed the case. Will Keza, on the beginning of the final lap, still hold back? Or will he go for the move? Keza already pulling out alongside. Not satisfied with that slipstream any longer. Has the outside for turn 1. Who's gonna be the last of the breakers? Keza gets the move done. Can Exevius fight back on any remaining part of this last lap? It's gonna be a tough ask. Just quickly checking on where the race leader is now. Coming into the final sector already. That's how far ahead he is. You can just see Exevius going left, going right, struggling to decide where to send it on Keza. Keza putting the car strategically in the middle of the track. Giving a bit of inside space here, and it's just given Exevius an excuse to shove that nose down the inside. Very generous from Keza. A good attempt as well from Exevius, but it hasn't paid off yet. Meanwhile, rounding the final corner now is the race leader. Quickly double checking these guys are side by side. No, they're not, so the camera goes back to Mats, who wins the first preseason race here at Monza in these 20-year-old GT1 cars. Congratulations to Mats. That was not a straightforward win. Fennec bringing it home in 2nd place, Ricky in 3rd. Keza still fighting it out for 4th with Exevius. Can the Corvette driver do anything about Keza's position? It's going to have to happen after the final corner. He's going to need the exit of a lifetime, but it looks like Keza has not made any mistakes, and the mistake belongs to Exevius. That's going to be a free place for Cuckoo in the final corner. I think that just goes to show you never give up. The car ahead may well bin it in the final corner as absolute mayhem happens there. A wheel getting stuck in space-time as multiple cars flying into the stratosphere. Very unfortunate ending to that race, though, for Exevius, losing a position. If Gillish hadn't binned it again earlier, that would have been 2 positions lost for Exevius, but he comes home in 7th place. JD rounding the final corner in a very safe 8th position. Bernd in the very good-looking Maserati, bringing it home in 9th, I think. That's fairly safe to say. All the other drivers have already finished. You can see the remains of Trouble's car. I think that may well be one of his wheels stuck in space-time. Andrew seemingly defying physics by the way that car is turning while standing still. And Bullet Sand just cruising home out of the final corner now. A lap down, but still, I think, having had a good time. think the car that will finish this race, though, will be Bernd. And it was. All right, let's quickly try and see if we can figure out who got the fastest lap before they move on to the next screen. And I think that's a pretty clear-cut victory for Mats. P1, fastest lap of a 143.103. Not all that many other drivers into the 43s. We have P2 Fennec, and Keza has a 43. That's about it. So though Ricky looked strong for the win, his fastest lap was a 44 flat. Still a great podium result, though. Unfortunately, no points on offer just yet. Points will be awarded starting not next week, but the week after that. Of course, next week will be another preseason race. Quickly taking a look at which track it's going to be. Next week, we have Catalunya on the schedule. First points paying round will be at Jacarepagua. Excuse my Spanish. Or Portuguese, that might actually be either one of those two. Congrats to Mats on that victory. The rest of the field out of the top three is Keza, Cuckoo, Xavius, Gillish, JD, Bernd, Trouble, Andrew, and Bullet San to bring home the final car. Eddie seems to have retired on lap 25. Quite unfortunate there. Exus still in the lobby, but not in the race in 14th. And Jedlin, having retired relatively early on in 15th position. Condor not classified as he didn't even start the race due to a disconnect. So let's see who we can bring
Hello
in for
there,
interview.
Martin.
Hello, Keza.
I thought I try to support you a bit for the interviews. So yeah, just let me know who I should pull in. I don't think we have the full right setup for you just yet.
Let's see. We have
So just
two people ready so far, Andrew and Cuckoo. Let's go ahead and bring in the driver that finished higher up, and that is in fact Cuckoo.
All right.
Guys.
There you go.
Hello, Cuckoo. That's
Hello.
definitely not been a boring race, has it?
Oh, it was brilliant. Loved it.
Yeah, tell us a bit about your fights. I think there were a couple of 3-car fights in there for you as well.
Yeah, there were a few. So I think I was a bit too cautious off the line, and I lost a couple positions. After that, when I sort of found the groove, I started reeling them in. I think it was like 7 of us fighting for the lead in within 10 seconds of each other, or something crazy.
That was great to watch.
Pulling right onto the back of the pack, and then I completely fucked it and went deep into the gravel, which dropped me back. I forget who I fought with after that, but I finished out the stint. Full tank of fuel and new soft tyres for stint 2. Went through all of that one, trying to undo some of the damage that I did. And I decided to take a gamble for the end. I decided, okay, coming into the pits, sod the tyre change. We're just going to keep the softs on that I put on for the second stint, and we're just going to top up the tank. Ended up putting in too much fuel. I had 2 laps left at the end, but that put me right out with Kays and Xevious and put me well clear of Gillish, who I'd been fighting with before that. So strategy gamble paid off. I couldn't really fight them that well because the tyres were just crying at that point. But
yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that as well. So we had a lot of pit stops that lasted a very long time in the first stint, and then it seemed like a lot of pit stops for the second stint were a lot shorter. So what do you think was going on with the tires there, or why were the pit stops taking so long at first?
I suppose it depends what people decided to do. So I went full tank, fuel to the end for my strategy, and then obviously I only changed my tires on that first full tank stop. So I kept the same tyres for the second stop, which is why my second was so quick. So I guess it's just people experimenting with different strategy orders and stuff, trying to get an advantage.
Yeah, and
I think I might be able to add to that. I think the average fuel tank, if you don't do lift and coast, is about 15 laps. So I saw at least 2 strategies among the people that didn't crash. One was basically to go for the whole through the whole tank with the first stop, then go for tires, go for full fuel tank again, and then no tires in the end for the splash and dash, which is around like 5 to 6 laps fuel, depending on what you did.
That's what
And
I did.
Ricky also had an interesting strategy, because I think what he did is basically do the splash in the middle. So I think what he did, I'm not sure he changed tires at all, to be honest, but what I think he did was that he went through the full tank of fuel, didn't change tires, just put a splash in, so he gets to like a lap 20, 21, and then he went for the long pit stop in the end. I think that's what Ricky did.
Interesting. I mean, that would definitely explain why I thought he seemed to be quite set for a victory there, and then ended up 20 seconds behind after that final pit stop. But, Kaze, I wanted to talk to you about those pit stops as well, because I thought that you would have to do 3 pit stops after that initial crash. At what point did you figure out you could still save your race and do it with 2?
Me? I mean, for me, it was mathematically possible from the moment I went to the pits, because I was in lap 5, and I know that I can do at least 15 laps of fuel on one tank, maybe 16. So that's what I did the math. I almost fucked it because I didn't fuel safe enough on the second stint and almost ran out of fuel. So that was a bit of a greater challenge for me and Xevis in the end. But yeah, other than that.
Yeah, and I mean, you had a fairly comfortable gap as well. What happened when you were leading into Ascari?
Oh, a severe lack of skill is what happened.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah, I mean, you managed to salvage an almost podium, so congrats to you for that. Your pace was nothing to scoff at. You ended up getting pole position as well.
Yep.
How do you feel? Like, what's the most difficult part of handling the Aston? Because it definitely doesn't seem to be necessarily the easiest car to drive, but it's good on 1 lap pace.
I think for the Aston, it's the case that you kind of have to bring it to life with the setup. With the default, you are really lacking traction, and the front axle is pretty weak. So that took quite a bit of tuning. But once you get in there, it's actually decently easy to drive if you're not stupid, essentially. So I wouldn't say it's a 1 lap pocket rocket or something. I think that's more on the Viper side. I don't know what Mia thinks. I don't know if you drove the other cars, but that's at least. Yeah, that's my impression. I think the Corvette is quite nice to drive.
It's very nice, but I did notice I was maybe slightly down on power to some of the other cars. Like, trying to out-drag a Viper just wasn't happening for me, even though I'd dropped the wings to none, like you did.
Yeah, I'm interested in how it will be for the next race, because the Corvette is the lightest car. So it might have an advantage on the more twisty tracks.
It's not like a huge advantage, but I did notice them like easing ahead when we were side by side.
Yeah,
so it's near enough to be competitive, but still annoying.
Yeah, the torque of the Viper is just insane. Like, it's lacking the top end. I feel like, at least I had a good time. Like, I could drive past in a slipstream pretty easily, but out of the corners, if the straight is not long enough, the Viper is insane.
Now, I do want to ask another question about the handling of these cars. I mean, we had an absolute ding-dong battle for the lead up until the first round of pit stops. Now, was that just a classic Monza race, or is that indicative of how easy it is to race each other with these cars? Is dirty air not that much of a big deal?
I didn't feel like it was a big of a deal. What do you think, Mia?
No, I didn't really struggle that much for it.
So you expect the dirty air to not really be that bad at other tracks as well, then, or?
I mean, obviously, it's a low downforce track. I think Mia also said no wing on my side either. So I don't know if it's representative, but I don't think it would be much of a deal. In Formula cars, you would also notice it on Monza. So yeah, I think it's fine on the dirty air side.
Well, I think that's giving us plenty to look forward to this season. Then now. Kaza, can you tell us a bit about your final overtake there on Cuckoo? Because, of course, you guys were fighting each other at the end of the race.
I mean, the battle was nice. I think going side by side in Ascari wasn't the smartest move, because it allowed Xevious to get through, but it was fun nonetheless.
Yeah.
And yeah, other than that, I think I spent a bit more time on setup. So I had the maximum low drag setup. I think just going fast and
How were
straight.
your tires at that point? Because like I said, I'd left my softs on from the second stint.
Yeah, I went for new tires for the second pit stop.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't take
that'll give
for
you
the first one.
advantage.
Yeah, so I think I had better tires in the end as well.
Yeah, it was a
yeah.
gamble when I was fighting Gillish. Like I said, I decided, you know what, it's going to be like 7 laps to the end. We'll just try leaving them on.
Yeah.
And it paid off in the end between fending off Gillis and then Xavier spinning at the final corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, well, I think
I was
that's
pushing like hell trying to keep up.
well, I think that's gonna be it for my questions for you two after this first preseason race, because we seem to be losing a few people in the interview room. But I take you guys have both enjoyed this one tonight.
Yeah, other than my massive skill issue, it was a good race.
I dare say it might even be the most fun race I've had in the last couple months, to be honest.
Ooh,
That
okay.
was very fun.
Well, you haven't had
They're
any
lovely
MSR
cars to
races in the past
drive.
2 months, right?
I know, I've been racing elsewhere as well, but the cars are lovely to drive, they really are.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I would
Bit of a
agree. I would
poke
agree.
in the second sector, but you can drive
Yeah.
around that quite easy. The
Yeah.
Corvette didn't really care about booting the throttle that much either. You could pretty much just boot it a lot of the time.
Yeah, they are easy to catch compared to the other cars
Yeah,
we drove
that's what I
before, like
noticed
the
at practice.
V12s and the LMDHs. So, yeah, you can also send it a bit and try daring moves a bit more than before.
All right. Well, I do think we still might have Nismo in the chat. So Nismo, if you want to ask any questions, do feel free. But I will be moving us on to the next interview now. So if we could maybe pull in Andrew, if possible. Oh, did we just lose Kaiser?
Yeah, Case is gone.
He's my pull in the people guy. Oh no. Well,
Panic.
I might just have to switch
Oh, he's
channels.
back, he's
to
back.
the-
Oh, he's back.
I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, okay. I'll pull Andrew in, yeah?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you, Mia.
Yeah, thank you. Fun race. I'm hoping I can fight you a bit more at the races to come.
Yeah, same. I think it's gonna be good.
It's looking good, yeah.
Well,
See
all
you
right,
next time.
see ya.
Yep, see you.
Oh, I cut her off a bit there. Sorry.
Welcome, Andrew.
Hello.
You also did not have a very lonely race, but there were some incidents, let's say.
A few incidents, yes.
Yeah, so
Which one would you like to know about?
I caught one of them on camera, but I just want to ask to be sure, how many incidents did you have this race?
Only the two which were back to back, so
Okay. So the one I caught was into a scar. You got completely sideways under braking and became an absolute baseball bat with Trouble's car being the ball.
trouble. Had to be trouble. Well, yeah, that was so Lesmo 2 on that lap. I see there's a smoke cloud on the exit of Lesmo 2. So what do you do in that situation?
Try and hug the inside, I guess.
You go full throttle. You go full throttle, go right to the edge of the curb. The only problem is there's a Maserati there, so you fucking total that car. In the process, destroy your own, and then
Was that Eddie that you murdered?
it was.
Oh, so now we know why he retired. Oh my word! Yeah, that's not what I caught.
He was struggling a bit in his Maserati. I think he had really low wing. He was spinning around a bit. I mean, I didn't help by crunching him, but yeah. Yeah, so I gave myself hefty steering damage, and just to bring someone else into my misery, instead of just letting Trouble go, I tried to race him into a Scari. My car's broke, so I drift into the grass, smack him in the rear, and send him into the wall as well. Take him with me.
Yeah, and your pit stops seem to be fairly similar in length, and you ended up fighting for almost the rest of the race. How were those battles? Were they cordial?
Yeah, it was fun.
Were there any radio communications between you and Trouble?
No, I said sorry to him when I murdered him, and he said sorry when he went a bit deep and I had to avoid him, but that was it. Always good fun fighting with Trouble.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like trouble to me. So glad to see you guys were able to keep it civil for the rest, aside from the involuntary baseball battle. But considering the crazy fights we had for especially the first half of this race, which other track this season are you expecting to have similar multi-car fights at?
I have no idea because I have no idea about the relative performance of these cars. So
Right, so just a little
I,
reminder there for the upcoming tracks. We still have Catalunya, Jacarapagua, Hockenheim, Virginia, Spa, Silverstone, Fontana RC, and Kyalami.
I'm assuming the Aston is good in the corners. So anything twisty, that should do well.
Is that true, Kay, as an Aston driver?
I think the cars on like are like a bit of a spectrum, so to say. I think on like high downforce tracks, the Maserati I expect to be very, very good, and the Corvette. I think the Aston might be a well-rounded car. So I think it's not amazing in high speed, but also not terrible. I think obviously the Viper will have an amazing time when we get to tracks like Fontana RC, for example, where you have all those twisty bits and a lot of acceleration from slower speeds. But yeah, that's it. At least that's what my experience is from the testing. But yeah, it's tough to say. I'm really looking forward to Catalonia because it's essentially the opposite of Monza with the more twisty bits and the high downforce sections. And yeah, I dare say we see after.
Now, I do have another question for you specifically, Kay, as you are one of the people who runs this league, of course. Now, there has been a big old BOP again this season on the Lambo this time. And judging by how many people were put on that list, I would assume that this is the most groundbreaking car of all time. But it seems like Exus was struggling quite a bit tonight. So is the car really that good?
I think it is. From my testing, I think I published my times as well from my personal little testing, other than what we did as a group as well. I think all the cars are, depending on what track and what track characteristics you have, somewhat good in other places. They are pretty close together, and I think the Lambo breaks out of that a bit because it's just better than all the other cars on all the tracks. The whole reason why so many people are on that list is because it's the only car, at least from our for what we felt like was in our testing, the only car that breaks out there a bit. I think, no matter where you put the cut, other than people that are on the slower side, you're gonna have an unfair advantage. I think if you look at the top 15 of our league, and it's like half a second or something in pace difference, that's easily negated by the Lambo, because it's just good everywhere. It's good on the straight, it's good in slow corners, it's good in fast corners, good on fuel, good on tires, easy to drive, good brakes. It's not insane. It's not like 2 seconds faster or anything, but just better everywhere. At least that's what I felt like.
All right, so we may well not have seen the last of Exus yet this season. Now, next question for you, Andrew. Having heard all of that, what would you rate Kay's chances of being a good Lamborghini salesman?
He convinced me, so yeah, we might have a future in there.
All right, let's see. Final question for you, Andrew, before we move on to the final interview. If my phone wants to unlock you. Yeah, there we go. How much are you missing Nismo already?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's kind of a bit tragic, really, isn't it? Gone so soon at such a young age.
Very, very true indeed. He has dropped one single message in the chat to say hello to me towards the end of the race, but no additional Nismo questions yet. But I can assume that he's watching over us from a better place. We are looking to get an extra commentator with us for the rest of the season. Couldn't quite make it tonight, unfortunately, but we'll have to wait and see. But definitely something to very much look forward to. Thank you very much, Andrew, and I guess good luck for, well, I would say all the remaining races, but that would be too much luck. So I'll say bad luck for the next race because there's no points on offer, and then good luck for all the other ones.
Yeah, that works for me, man. See you later.
Have a good one.
See ya. Goodbye. All right, I'll get banned in, yeah?
Yes, please.
All right, come in.
Welcome, Ben, and thank you for your patience. Now, let me just double check. You were in the black and gold car, right?
Yes, I am.
How does it
Ready
feel to drive
to-
the best-looking car on the grid?
Oh boy. How much did Casey pay you already? This early in the season?
Wait, Keza, did you put him in this car?
I made delivery, yeah.
Was it purely like 100% designed by Keza, or did you put any design requests, Bernd?
Just the usual like Racecraft Online sponsorships and Monza Racing from last season
Yeah.
already, when he did my Cadillac livery, and the rest was basically his own creative endeavor. And I suggested like the country flags of like Austria and Belgium for my teammate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little touch, but otherwise it's his work.
That's
I'm also amazed. It's a pretty simple design to make, to be honest, but it looks really good. I would agree. The gold just shines so nicely.
it is hard to miss with black and gold. They definitely discovered something special there in the 70s, but yeah, I mean, it's been quite an eventful race, especially the first half. Bernd, did you get into a lot of fights as well? Because I think you were slightly behind most of the action. Oh, you're cutting out a bit.
I think it was a lonely race for me. Lap 5, lap 6, I think it was, when I hit like a yellow car at the exit of Ascari.
Ooh.
And that wasn't that nice, because I had like front damage and front suspension damage. And yeah, but I absolutely fucked it up with my pit stop.
Tell
I
us what
missed
went
my
wrong there.
pitbox. I missed my pitbox.
Oh no.
And I was thinking that it was my pitbox, to be more exact, but it wasn't. So I tried to reverse because I thought I would have overshot it, perhaps. Then braked again, stopped, nothing happening. Okay, maybe a little bit further and towards the front. Stopped again, nothing. It was like, I think 10 seconds later that I was thinking, perhaps this isn't my pitbox.
Do you not have the extra indicator set to on?
I have, but there were other cars in their pitboxes.
Oh, that is supremely unlucky.
And I had like the pit crew detail on for like every car, so I had like the whole pit crew on for each pitbox. And yes, I need to change the setting again.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess it's
word.
better it happens in the preseason than in the actual race.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that actually leads me into my next question, Bernd. Since this is preseason, have you done a lot of testing and setup work beforehand, or is that what you're using the preseason races for?
I have tested like the different cars when I ultimately chose which cars I'm gonna run. But other than that, I did like a little bit of practice this Saturday with my teammate, who couldn't be here today sadly. But we also built like 2 different setups, but his one was a little bit too extreme for me regarding the low downforce. But I might have to just get used to it and learn it, because ultimately if you are getting out-tracked by everyone, it's not that easy as well. So
No, absolutely. That's basically a death sentence at a track like Monza. Nothing much you can do about that once you're out on track in a setup.
If I may, what exactly made you choose the Maserati in the end? Because I also was considering it. My first choice was the Viper. My teammate didn't like it, so that's why we landed on the Aston. But I think the Maserati would have been only like my fourth choice actually. It's not that it's slow or anything, but it's not as enjoyable to drive as the other ones for me. Like, what made you choose the Maserati?
I felt that it had a very neutral balance. regarding like being safe to drive and yet still having like good corner abilities. The Corvette felt the slowest for me, at least with like default setups, and you had to do quite a bit of tuning to get that somewhat turning into the corners. And the Viper was, I think the Viper is probably the one I felt most comfortable under braking, ironically, because you had so much feedback from like the rear of the car under braking. But the Maserati was basically just for safety and just trying to be consistent in all conditions without the car trying to kill me. And the Viper, I think, is a little bit more of this kind of candidate.
So if I've understood that correctly, you liked the stability of the Maserati, and when Keza tried it, he just kind of thought that was boring.
Yes. Like in regards of driving feeling, I would have like taken the Viper probably. But in regards of trying to be like consistent and also looking towards the rain races, I think the Maserati might be a good pick over the course of the calendar.
Yeah, I mean,
And the most important part, the Maserati sounds absolutely amazing. It might even be the best sounding car in the whole game.
ooh.
Yeah, it sounds very nice. Also, when I tested like the Maserati compared to the Viper, I felt like the brakes just didn't work compared to the Viper, because you could basically with the Maserati you can stamp the brakes a lot with like 100% brake pressure, and you just won't lock up. But due to the lack of feeling under braking compared to the Viper, you just feel like you are not braking at all. It's very odd.
Yeah, I agree. Like I talked to Eddie during the practice, and he was also complaining about, I have to warn the others. I have to brake, like it feels like I have to brake 20 meters earlier than the others. And then we actually compared our brake markers, and it's not the case. But he had the same feeling, like that he has to brake really early, but that's not the case apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been interesting seeing the how the different car choices affect people, but regardless of all those preferences, I'm curious about which track you are looking forward to the most, because we still got every points paying track this season left, and Catalunya upcoming as well in the second preseason round. Have you driven all of the upcoming tracks before?
Yes, but I think Fontana probably the least, perhaps once, if at all.
So we can discount that one from your preference list.
Yeah, I think so. And then like Virginia is great, but you have to stay so focused, because if you get it wrong, you just go off track completely. So
Yeah, absolutely.
just that. And Yakare Bagua is like a track I think I've driven with like the 2024 stock cars, if I remember correctly, and enjoyed it quite a bit, but not with like somewhat modern machinery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just for clarification, there's quite a bit of layouts on Jacarepagua. We're driving the 2005 layout, so I'm not sure you drove that on the stock cars, but that's definitely correct layout. Just make sure that when you want to practice, that you check the spreadsheet, so you have the right layout.
Yeah, I gotta load these sandbags and just use our practice hammer.
Yeah, or like that, yeah.
All right, well, I think that pretty much answers all the questions we have for tonight, so I'm definitely looking forward to the next round as well, and I hope you guys have had as much fun as I had watching that one.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, and I hope you guys were entertained.
Thank you very much, Baron. See you next time.
See you.
All right, so then it was Keza and Martin left. Do you have any closing statements for the one remaining viewer, which is myself?
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I mean, thank you so much for sticking out as a solo commentator tonight. Shared couldn't make it. It was a total mess. He usually takes the train home, and he took the bus, which already takes so much longer, and now because of the snow and everything, took like 30 to 40 minutes longer than that. So apparently he just came home. Yeah, but other than that, I hope we find a suitable co-commentator for you. Send out some messages. If we can get King Kodiak, obviously, as you mentioned, that would be absolutely pristine. And yeah, thanks for sticking it out without Nismo for the season. I'm sure you'll have him back for the next one.
Yeah, it was definitely nice though having some people active in chat as well. Shout out to KCR. Danny was asking plenty of questions.
Nice.
Handing me some extra info as well. And I do want to ask you. I did end up slandering Britain when I said that Shad was late. But is he actually British or is he German? I can't remember.
No, he's British. Yeah.
Oh, okay, he is in fact British. So it is indeed the British transport system that fell short tonight, not the German one. Although I know it's a pretty infamous one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would have been no difference if he would have been from like Munich or whatever in this case. Yeah. Actually, one more thing. Apparently, you called the Corvette Viper in the race, and Andrew was thieving.
Whoops.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was. I'll have to study up on my car models, but that is pretty fun. I'm surprised he didn't mention that in the interview.
Yeah, I only just thought about it as well. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I hope we get the co-commentator going. That would be really, really nice. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing solo commentary without a glass of water again because I am parched. So thank you everyone for watching, and for all those watching the race afterwards, I hope you had a good time as well, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Good night, everyone.